This is PWF Empire Live.
It's the best thing going today.
The best insight and analysis on the hottest topics in the world of wrestling happens here. From storylines and news to rumors and reviews, we've got the action covered from bell to bell. Presented by PWFempire.com with your hosts,
Steven,
Evan Medina, and J-Dub.
do I have everybody's attention now?
The match starts now.
PWF Empire is live following WWE Hell in a Cell. The main event of this show was the war to settle the score between Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker. We'll be covering that tonight, plus everything else that happened on this show from top to bottom. I am Jay, and I'm joined in the hosting panel tonight by Evan. What's up? How are you feeling tonight after Hell in a Cell?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. I gotta be honest with you. It was a pretty enjoyable show, to be completely realistic here. Good stuff.
Yes, the struggle was real for the road to Hell in a Cell, but now that we've arrived at our destination, I think it turned out pretty nice tonight, and we'll be getting down to all of the little intricate portions of the show tonight, and we hope that you join us wherever you may be watching right now. If you are on YouTube in the chat, youtube.com/PWF Empire, watching from there, on PWFempire.com, or on Twitter with the hashtag PWF Empire, because as always, the conversation continues on and off air. Let's go ahead and get that conversation started with the opening contest for Hell in a Cell. This was John Cena in his United States Open Challenge, and we had no idea who his challenger was going to be, but we soon found out when this show got underway. It was a returning Alberto Del Rio, and when everything was said and done, after a kick to the face from Del Rio to John Cena, Del Rio walks away as your new United States champion. How shocking was it for you, or was it shocking at all to see Del Rio come back and be in this position on Hell in a Cell?
This was surprising, yes. I really had heard these rumors that Del Rio may be in talks with coming back to the company and whatnot, but I hadn't heard a thing about, or I wasn't sure about him being at Hell in a Cell. In fact, the biggest rumor that I had heard this morning was about Daniel Bryan potentially being that challenger, that he was going to come back. I mean, wishful thinking says, oh, well, Daniel Bryan, that's cool. Or, a bunch of different NXT names. So there was a lot of names thrown around as to who it was going to be. So I was definitely surprised to see Alberto Del Rio, but I can't really say that I was sitting there like marking out going crazy, like, oh, yay, it's Alberto Del Rio. He was never a guy I was a huge fan of in WWE. And remember, I say in WWE yes, because of the way that his character was booked. Again, I want to be clear. Alberto Del Rio, a great wrestler. Very, very talented guy. I never was a fan of his WWE character. Maybe the first 6 months or so I liked it, but it grew really old really fast. It was very repetitive. It was a one-trick pony. So I was like, oh, it really...
See... For me, I didn't go, oh my God, it's Alberto Del Rio. I went, oh my God, it's Alberto El Patron. Because, I guess I'm thinking the exact same way that you do. I wasn't really impressed by Alberto Del Rio when he was in WWE. And that just goes to show how my mind is changing as a wrestling fan in 2015. Because I was more excited to see Alberto El Patron, the Lucha Underground star, than I was to see the Royal Rumble winner, the Money in the Bank winner, multiple-time world champion, Alberto Del Rio. And that, it's such a crazy position to be in that I look at those two guys, which is the same guy, as two completely different people. But now that he's back in WWE, I'm unsure if he could capture that same magic that he had in Lucha Underground. But we had a start here with his match versus John Cena. I guess we could start talking about the match now. Did he capture any magic for you here?
I can't really say I really was loving this match too much. I've seen Del Rio versus Cena enough that I really, like, it hasn't been that damn long since Del Rio was there. He was just there a year ago. It's not like it's been, like, 4 years since, ADR's been in WWE. Now, the way he got fired was complete BS, and it wasn't on him at all. They fired him over something really stupid. So I'm glad that, like, they were able to come to terms in some way. I really like to think that this character is going to be going in a different direction. An exciting thing for me is him and Zeb Coulter. It was nice to see Zeb come back. I can't lie. I always liked him as a manager, so that could be interesting. But if Alberto Del Rio's character is anything like it was before, I'm not looking forward to the way that character is presented. However, I can say I'm looking forward to some of his matches, because he certainly was very good at putting on some quality matches. There's no question about it. He had some really good ones with Dolph Ziggler in particular when he was in WWE before. So I've seen Cena versus Del Rio enough. I didn't think this match really did a whole lot different, and the finish was kind of awkward, to be honest, with a backstabber pinning John Cena. I mean, this is John Cena, the guy who he kicks out of like 8 finishers, and Del Rio hits him with one backstabber, and bang, he's gone. That was very strange.
It was a kick to the face after, but I still understand what you're talking about, because if this was the standard this basically was a standard John Cena match, just with the last 25% of the match cut out. Because from that point, like what happened with the backstabber into the kick, that would be the big near fall of the match. Then we would go into the John Cena offense and things like that, and then he'd be worked down. Like it missed that last 25% of the match, so it did feel a little bit weird. But overall, I have to say this was just like a standard match. With all of the excitement that I had about Del Rio coming back, or should I say Alberto El Patron debuting in WWE, it kind of dissipated in the match itself. Not necessarily saying that it was a bad match, but it just didn't live up to the level of excitement with him coming back, that initial feeling that I got from seeing him on screen.
Yep, pretty much. I was like, oh, well, Del Rio, okay. But honestly, I felt more disappointed because I think there were better choices that we talked about in the preview, and I was looking forward to. I'm not like, oh my god, it had to be Daniel Bryan or it's a bust. No, I'm thinking to myself, you can utilize an NXT guy here, like a Tyler Breeze or something, or you can utilize even somebody else on the roster who hasn't been in a great position. Even one of those guys who was in the 6-man tag in the pre-show. That I don't care. It doesn't, like, those guys are the ones who need this spot. Like Del Rio, I feel like they could have had him come back in a different way than this. But again, I'm not saying it's complete shit at all. I'm not even really saying it's shit. I'm just saying that I think it could have been better. Really, it could have been. And I hope that Del Rio's character could be in a better position this time around. But I am not going to hold my breath on that one. I really don't think it's going to be any better here. However, Del Rio, is an enjoyable wrestler. But for me, this match, just I've seen it enough and had a weird finish to it too.
Speaking of Alberto Del Rio, I want to talk a little bit about his associate, Zeb Coulter, because if you all have been following the presidential election, the reality show that is the presidential election, you have Donald Trump out there saying some very incendiary things, and it's as if Donald Trump is playing a character based off of Zeb Coulter. And the funny thing about that is, I was sitting here and I was actually thinking about this the other day, like, when is WWE going to bring Zeb Coulter back to TV to kind of piggyback off of all of this controversy and attention that Donald Trump is getting? But they bring him back to TV, and he's in a completely different direction than I thought he would have been, with the whole xenophobic stuff. I thought they would have picked up off of that, but
it was almost like he was playing more of a babyface role by saying that all cultures deserve a shot at the U.S. title. So that was an interesting dynamic to this. I mean, I don't know what to really take from that. It was kind of nice to see Zeb Coulter because he was such a good manager for the Real Americans when they were a thing. Not like that was a great team by any stretch of the imagination, but Zeb Coulter was certainly a good advocate for those guys, and could manage a lot of people and do them justice. So if it's not going to be Paul Heyman, Zeb Coulter certainly is not a bad manager to have instead.
You know what? I think the thing was, he was probably at home watching Donald Trump like, this guy is fucking ridiculous. What the fuck is he talking about? Like, Oh my God, I'm saying some of those things too. Like if Donald Trump is saying it, I gotta change my ways. But we're gonna move on now to the second match that took place at Hell in a Cell. This was our first of two Hell in a Cell matches that were on the show. This was Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt. They had a score to settle in this match, just as Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker had in the main event of the show. And this match was all over the friggin' place. It started out very slow and methodical, but to be quite honest, I appreciated that because they were selling I think that was their like weird way of selling the importance of the feud. You could have done like an easy back and forth type thing where the action was coming at a fast, frenetic pace and going back and forth and things like that. But they actually took the time to beat the hell out of each other, and I'd like to appreciate that. And as the match rolled on, a lot of things happened, which we will definitely get into. But at the very end, we saw Roman Reigns standing tall as the victor after a spear to his opponent, Bray Wyatt.
This was very good. I enjoyed this match quite a bit here. It did start off slow, but you don't expect a fast-paced match between these two guys. That's not exactly the kind of characters that they portray. So you expected a slower pace to kick things off. What I liked here was you had innovation, and you had a match that ultimately culminated a story very effectively, and a couple of moments that were really surprising, such as that, Sister Abigail out of nowhere from Bray Wyatt. At one moment, a Sister Abigail that was reversed by Reigns real quick. That was very...
Oh my God, it was like a Sister Abigail counter into the schoolboy, and Bray Wyatt kicked out, and Roman Reigns went for the Superman punch. That was one of the best moments of the friggin' night. Not just the match, but the whole friggin' night.
It absolutely was. And honestly, it just showed that these two guys have some good chemistry, and that chemistry grew quite a bit over the course of this feud. And I think this was the best match that the two of them had. And I know that they were in the cell, and maybe that helped a little bit, considering there was, Are you
talking about with each other, or like in their entire careers?
No. I'm saying with each other in this feud. Okay. These last few months, this was the best match of the bunch. And I mean, yes, obviously, it had a different element to it because it was more of a culmination and whatnot. But this was their best match together, is what I really mean here. And it was very good. And you had a couple of table spots that were nice, and some innovation with the kendo stick as well. And then also the chair being wedged into the cell. I liked that spot as well. I mean, you had some good moments back and forth. Wyatt getting the early offense in, and then Reigns continuing to make comebacks. Some good kickouts from both guys. And ultimately, again, Roman Reigns coming out on top in a good fashion. This, to me, told the right story, culminated the feud as well as it needed to, and did its job. And not only that, did its job very well. So it's not even just one of those matches where you say, well, it did what it had to. No, this did beyond what it had to do. It went above and beyond, told a good story. Both guys played their role very effectively. Wyatt was a demeaning type of monsterish heel throughout this match, and Roman Reigns continued to be the hero, and it was very well played, well done, and well executed. So to me, this was a very, very good match, and certainly one of the best ones of this night.
What I was thinking initially going into this match was they need to beat the hell out of each other and have it at a fast pace to the point where they don't give people time to think. And you could kind of tell at some points during the match, people were jumping off the boat, or I can't even necessarily say jumping off the boat because they probably were never on to begin with Roman Reigns. But I felt as if when everything was said and done, he won over everyone in that crowd. And then if he didn't win you over, I'd like to introduce you to the Roman Reigns Up Yours tour. That's what I'm going to introduce you to, because if you don't like Roman Reigns, then up yours. But yeah, the guy, he went out there, and I'm focusing so much on Roman Reigns just to send the message that he was freaking awesome in this match, but Bray Wyatt was awesome as well. And the word that you hit there was innovative. I loved what they did in this match, the way that they tried to change things up, because in WWE these days, we have multiple Hell in a Cell matches per year, and you have to find some kind of way to make this one different from the next. Do things differently, because each Hell in a Cell that happens, and like I said, they're happening multiple times a year, each one that happens, the next one has to do something different and has to change the game up and innovate in a way that makes you memorable. And I feel as if both guys did this in this match. There was one spot where I was really pissed off because I wanted to see Roman Reigns hit Bray Wyatt with the suplex. See, they were like standing on the ring apron with the table on the side of the ring. I wanted to see him hit a suplex on Bray Wyatt from that position, but Bray Wyatt ended up hitting Roman Reigns with a side slam through the table. I mean, that was cool, but I wish I would have seen that suplex. Then that one spot where they were on the apron and Roman Reigns hit him with a spear and they crashed through the table. That was insane.
That was
so
awesome.
Much great stuff happened in this match that we could probably spend the rest of this show just listing off the highlights. This was the performance that was necessary for two up-and-coming stars in WWE, especially when you have Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker in the main event. They were going to go away with the lion's share of the attention no matter what happened on the show, but I feel as if with the performance that Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns put on at Hell in a Cell, it was memorable, and it's going to cause people to talk about them too. So that's what they needed to do, and they did that, and exceeded my expectations by so many levels. Just a wonderful performance all around for both guys.
No doubt about that. Both guys needed this, definitely. And so going forward, they both are left in a good position, and Roman Reigns certainly showing that he can perform well here in a big match situation that was long, because a lot of people feel like he can't wrestle for more than a few minutes. Well, this was a very good match to prove how he can go and he can maintain in a match and he can tell a story. This was good. They hit all the things they needed to hit here. Everything they needed to do was done. So, I mean, there wasn't a perfect match. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying was that it was very good and was a match that I would watch a second time, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll say that this was one of my favorite matches of the year, and it seems to I think is Bray Wyatt involved in? I don't think Bray Wyatt is in any of my other favorite matches, but I know for sure Roman Reigns is. Like, when you get him into those big match moments, I think this guy has transformed into a big match guy, that when the stage is the biggest that it is and the stakes are high, he shows up and he shows out. We've seen it with him and Daniel Bryan. We've seen it with him and Brock Lesnar. We've seen it with him and the fucking Big Show. We've seen it with him and Bray Wyatt. So
I will never forget that time that him and Big Show faced each other earlier this year, and we were like, oh, God, we don't want to see this match. And afterwards, we all couldn't help but admit that it was actually very good. So there's no question he can definitely perform to the level that would be expected of a guy who could be a main event player. So there's no question here that Roman Reigns is proving himself in the ring. Now, obviously, there's other things about his character that could still use some improvement, but it certainly has gotten better, and this match continues to prove to me just how good he really is at psychology, telling a story, and putting on a really good match. And, to go on second is not easy. I always feel like the second match is the hardest one to make memorable. You have your opener, which sets the tone, and then the second one is kind of like the match everyone starts to, look away to, second or third match. And to have these two guys go out there and put on such a memorable performance is really key for both of them, especially also where they were on the card. I think that's just shows how good they are too.
Well, based off of this number 2 and number 3 match, WWE was like, damn it, you will not look away tonight. Maybe the 4th match, but we shall see. The 3rd match of the night was the New Day without Xavier Woods. And I have to say, I like the New Day. We've said many times before on this show, New Day does indeed rock. But I'm kind of pissed off at New Day. You want to know why I'm pissed off at New Day, Evan?
Why are you pissed off at New Day?
Because Xavier Woods wasn't there, and I did not get a call saying that my services were needed. I've said on the show before that I can sing, I can dance, I play the clarinet. I haven't played it in like 15 years, but shit, I didn't know being good at it was a requirement. Like, if you needed somebody to stand there, play an instrument, I could do that. Like, why didn't they call me?
I don't know why they didn't call you. I really don't understand. You know, you make a great point. It's just a weird thing. I don't know.
But you know what? They had to succeed without Xavier Woods, and Steven needs to be thankful right now that they did, because I told him on Twitter, because with the whole push package release thing, he wanted to release Xavier Woods, and I said if they lost tonight, it would be his fault. Luckily, they didn't lose. So we had New Day versus the Dudley Boyz with the titles on the line. If I do say so myself, this was a pretty entertaining match. One of my favorite moments of the match was Kofi Kingston pulling, the little Eddie Guerrero move, trying to trick the referee into believing that the opponents hit him with a foreign object and try to get them disqualified. The ref didn't fall for it, but he didn't need to fall for it, because Big E, he came through at the end, and I believe it was Bubba Ray that he hit with a trombone, and Kofi hits him with Trouble in Paradise, and they get the pin, and still your tag team champions, the New Day.
I'm so thankful that they are still the tag team champions. I'm so thankful that they did not take the titles from them yet, because this is just too good of a team, too good of a championship run for them to just, take the belts off of them yet here. I want this feud to continue, and I think they left the door open here to continue it, with the way that in which New Day won. But it was a clean enough win to a point where, the ref obviously didn't see the trombone, so Kofi Kingston didn't even need to do some extremely dirty tactic to win himself. So it still made the New Day look like they were able to take advantage of a situation, exactly what a heel trio like the New Day should do. And even though they didn't have Xavier, they still had him in a different form through the trombone. And I can't agree with you more when it comes to the Eddie Guerrero tactic. I love that segment of this match. It was an amazing moment, and honestly, I would have had no problem with the ref actually falling for it and disqualifying the Dudleys and having the New Day retain that way, because again, it continues this feud on, and it continues to build up that frustration for the Dudleys. They just can't seem to get it done. It almost seems like the New Day has their number. That's what the story should really be here. I think that's a good narrative to tell. It's like the New Day, even though they seem like this team that the Dudleys should roll over, because the Dudleys are legends and the New Day are just this, new trio. And they're actually not. The new guys are crafty and smart, and they can outsmart the old veterans, and I like that. That's a good element to tell here, and I like that they keep doing that. So to me, this feud has been good in that sense, and obviously some of the build-up has been lacking because it's been kind of repetitive, but at least they continue to play on with this and have the New Day retain. So a very enjoyable match as per usual. I'm not surprised at all that this was an entertaining one, and a good win for New Day here too. So no complaints from me.
Well, I got one. There was one ugly moment in this match. I don't know what the hell the Dudleys were going for, but it's like Bubba Ray was holding up one of the members of New Day, and it looked as if Devon was going for a leg drop or something like that, but maybe he didn't get the height. He tried to get up there, tried to switch legs, and then he was just like, fuck it. Just drop him. And Bubba Ray just dropped him. I was like, okay. Well, he still hit the mat. I guess it was effective a little bit. But other than that, this was a pretty fun match. And I am so surprised at the fact that the Dudley Boyz have not won the championships yet. Because if you had told me after the Dudleys came back that right now today they would not have won the championships yet, I would have called you crazy, because with all of the fanfare surrounding those veterans, those legends in the industry coming back, you would have thought that the new guys would take a back seat to them. But I think that it just goes to show how awesome the New Day is and how amazing they are at getting over and capturing the attention of the crowd, to the point where when you have the New Day versus the Dudleys, the New Day, that's the story. And I think that that's amazing. With as much as WWE does to marginalize young talent at the expense of veterans sometimes, it's wonderful that we're in this position right now.
Yeah, usually
champions.
Usually you don't see those new guys even get one win over the veterans. Never mind what if they gotten like 3 or 4 wins over these guys now. I mean, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but I mean, when you think about it here, it's pretty interesting to think that the New Day have been able to beat them time and time again. And why not? You know, why not? Why shouldn't that be the situation a lot more often? Because these veterans are supposed to be brought in to put guys over to help out younger talent, but instead they end up beating that young talent in their first few matches, and you're saying to yourself, well, what is this? Like, I mean, I love the veterans as much as the next guy, but like, this is a great thing that they're doing. They're booking this very, very smartly. That's exactly how it should be. So very well done on the creative team's part, and I'm not used to saying that all the time, but this is very good. This is absolutely good.
And we have Josh in the chat right now. He said releasing Xavier. What? He's like appalled at the thought of Steven releasing Xavier. Steven is taking a little break from the show. He will be back within the next few weeks, and that will be on our agenda to talk about. Like, we're gonna duke it out over this whole push repackage release thing. Like, this is not. Is
this almost like an Empire's Court of? Well, then again, I feel like everybody would just be like, "No, Steven, sorry." Like, it's almost like we have to just like give Steven a chance to just, you know, speak his mind and say how he feels on the whole thing, and you know, because everyone's like, "Come on, Steven. What are you talking about now?"
you know the thing where they like question the jurors before they get on the panel to make sure they're not biased or things like that. We need to find biased jurors just to help Steven out on this one. Like, we need to find some guy that, you know, Xavier Woods stepped on his shoe once, or he got into a traffic accident, fender bender with. Like, we need to find all of those people and bring them onto the jury.
Yeah,
so,
it's gonna be a tough one for. Yeah, he needs a little bit of a chance.
But see, here's the thing that I say with Steven. Like, even if I disagree with him, he always makes sense in the things that he says, and he's one of those types of people that, like, I'll hear something he says and I'll disagree with it, and I'll almost be sold on it. Like, damn it, I hate you because I don't want to think about it that way, but you're making me think about it that way, and I don't like that. So this is gonna, like, I know he's gonna make sense of it. So we'll see when he gets back.
I'm looking forward to this. I am.
From there, we are going to move on to the next match that took place at Hell in a Cell. This was the Divas Championship match. Apparently, Charlotte is the Divas Champion. Still, she was before her match at Hell in a Cell, and she is now after her match because she defeated Nikki Bella with a figure 7. Because it wasn't a figure 8, and it damn sure wasn't a figure 4. So it was like a figure. It was a figure 7. I'll give her that. So yeah, this match, a lot of crazy things happened in this match. A lot of moments that I was just thinking, what the hell is going on here? There was a moment where it looked as if Nikki was going for a German superplex. Is that what you call it? A German suplex from the turnbuckle, and Charlotte flipped backwards to counter it, and Nikki came crashing down to the ground. Like, I shrieked in that moment. There was another moment where Nikki hit an Alabama slam on Charlotte onto the edge of the ring apron. A lot of crazy stuff going on here.
Yeah.
But yeah, Charlotte walks away as a victor.
Yeah, she did. There's a couple of those are some interesting spots, to say the least. I mean, wow. I was just like, is everyone going to survive this? This is a little bit scary here. That Alabama slam though into the ring apron, that was actually a pretty decent spot. It just was a little bit scary.
See, I like that one in the context of the match. It was like it, but that other one that happened from the top rope, I was like, no, don't do that. Like, do not do that again.
No, these are out of all the divas that WWE has, Nikki Bella should not be involved in a spot like that. She is one who should not be up there in a spot like that. If we're talking Sasha or Bayley or even Charlotte, the other person in this match, I'm like, okay, that's a spot that those girls could do, no question. But if we are talking
even with Sasha and Bayley, though, they still scare me too. Like
they do.
Hurricanranas.
Oh my God, those were some scary spots too. So but still, I figure I trust them enough that they're gonna get that spot off correctly. The Bellas, sorry. As good as Nikki may be in some ways, she certainly still is not the best in the ring. There's no question about that. Either way, though, this match did have some good moments to it, but it also had some moments to it, if you know what I mean. Like, without using a word, just kind of a form of expression. Kind of some, like, oh, what the hell is this? You know, what the hell is going on? So I think that's kind of the main roster Divas matches in a nutshell, though, to be completely honest. Charlotte retaining, I'm not surprised. The first time she had the figure 4 locked in, it didn't even look like it was locked in at all, like in any way, shape, or form. And I was just like, you're really not making me feel like this move. I just don't like the figure 8 as a, like, she's doing a bridge on a figure 4, which already doesn't look painful. And, like, doing a bridge how does that add pain? I just, like, I'm sorry, but it just, to me, is not exactly the best finisher. And I know why she uses it. I get that whole concept. But, it's just not the best finishing move. Charlotte's too good to have a finishing move that looks like that. I really think so. But this match, again, did have some decent moments to it. The pacing, I think, was fine. But, again, I think some spots that they were trying to pull off that just didn't quite go according to plan or how they may have been rehearsed beforehand in any way, shape, or form. So, very up and down for me. It's usual Divas stuff. But my biggest complaint is yet to come. And, oh, God, you know what it's going to be. It is the fact that fucking Paige and Sasha, and Becky, I can't even fucking remember her name because she's hardly on the damn show. Becky and Paige and Charlotte all embracing and acting like nothing ever happened. Oh, you turned on me a few weeks ago. You cost me a match. Oh, come here. Give me a hug. Like, what the fuck is this, man? There's no filter for me to use here. That is fucking bullshit, and it makes no sense whatsoever. This Divas shit is just getting out of hand. It is getting out of hand, man. Completely.
Charlotte has a forgiving spirit. That she's a very wholesome and humble person.
Oh, God, there's no continuity in any of this shit, man. Like, where is the continuity? Like, 3 weeks ago, that, like, pipe bomb promo that you supposedly cut on us, I don't give a shit that you just, like, insulted my entire existence. I'm just gonna give you a hug. What is
why
this?
wasn't she in her face like, yeah, my daddy wasn't out here now. What the fuck do you have to say now, huh?
Exactly. Exactly. That's what should have happened. Should have dropped that title, pick up the mic, say that, smack her across the face, and we get a brawl. That is exactly what we should have had to finish this thing. That is exactly what should have happened. At least.
At least. Like, man, it should have been more than that. But here's the thing. I feel like they tried. I'll give them, a solid B+ for effort. But I don't know what it is. When it comes down to these main roster Divas matches, it's either they're boring as hell or they try to do too much and it doesn't look crisp. Like, I look at the matches down in NXT and I feel the flow of it. I see the psychology and I see things like that. But for some reason here, it just didn't connect. And I'm not even going to say it's Nikki's fault, because I think when Nikki is, like, working over a body part, she's good. And I know that sounds weird, but, like, when Nikki focuses on something, like when she focuses on Charlotte's knee or Charlotte's back, I love those moments in the match, but for some reason she just does not connect with, or should I say Charlotte doesn't connect with her, because I don't see the same athlete, I don't see the same legit contender from Charlotte on the main roster that I saw when she was down in NXT. Like, she hit a friggin' spear in this match, and I can't even necessarily call it a spear. It was like a clothesline to the midsection. That's what Charlotte's spear is. Like, she doesn't even try to hit you with her full body. She just does like this and, hits you with the arm, and it's weird. Like, I don't know, but I'll give them a B for effort and execution.
I love it. A B for effort.
Yeah.
Not even an A for effort. This is a B for effort. That's how mediocre this whole thing is here. Oh.
Yeah, execution. They tried. So, Yeah, could you ask for more than just trying? Maybe, but you know.
Yeah, no. Nope. Nothing more to come from that. I don't think we should expect too much.
Okay, speaking of lowered expectations, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. And can I just let you guys know how much that hurts my heart to make a comment like that? Speaking of lowered expectations, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. Seth Rollins defending versus Kane. If Kane lost this match, Demon Kane. If Demon Kane lost this match, then Corporate Kane would lose his position as director of operations. And he lost this match. He did not win the World Championship, and he is no longer the director of operations because Seth Rollins defeated him with a pedigree. And I honestly believe that, Kane could have kicked out of the pedigree, but he was just so ashamed by how terrible it was that he just laid there like, you know what? I don't even want this thing to continue. Just let me get to the fucking back. I'm done with this. But yeah, for the match overall, Evan, I know we expressed our thoughts about the feud and all of the crazy stuff that happened on the road to Hell in a Cell. But once we finally arrived here, what was your assessment of what went down between Kane and Seth Rollins?
Oh, man, I don't know. This match was pretty much what I expected, to be really honest with you. I didn't have high expectations for this world title match, so I didn't really get much more than I was thinking was going to happen. It was whatever. It really wasn't a great quality match, and I think the argument of, oh, well, it's guaranteed to be a great match because it's a pay-per-view for Seth Rollins isn't always true here.
I know what the problem is. He didn't have on white.
Oh, he didn't have on the white. That's right. That's gotta be the problem. But in all reality, the reason that Rollins always performs well on pay-per-view is because he's able to go out there and do what he can do, and he usually has an opponent that he can do that well with, and Kane is not exactly the best adversary in this time period. Right now, if this was Kane from 6-7 years ago, it'd be a little bit of a different story. I'm sure Kane could put on a better match, back then as opposed to now. So for me, it was okay, but I really don't have that many memorable moments from this match at all. Like, I'm trying to draw on...
I have one, but it's not a good one. The table botch.
Oh, yes. Oh, how could I forget that wonderful table where the Kane literally just falls and the table just comes right on with him, and there's no...
In slow motion.
In slow motion. What was this, like when Randy Orton stepped up on the table that time, lost his balance, and caused the table to tip over? That was almost as bad as that. That's how ridiculous that looked. But, hey... I gotta give this match one thing. Seth Rollins did win clean. Hallelujah to the masses. Because Seth Rollins did win a match clean, and that is a positive to take away. I have, and I know you have as well, I have complained a lot about Seth Rollins not winning clean, and I can't, again, you gotta give credit where credit is due. At least they had him win this match clean. I have to give that to this whole thing. I'm not going to be unfair and be like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. No, it does matter, because the clean win for me is a positive thing to take away from this match. Even if the quality of it was, pretty in the middle, and really there wasn't a whole lot of memorable moments throughout. I don't know. It was in the middle of the card. I mean, if that doesn't say how unimportant this match truly was, I don't know what does. I mean, this is a world heavyweight title match, and it's, coming on in the second hour. So you already know that this match isn't that important. If it was basically felt like it was in the middle of the card, and it pretty much was. So that to me, that says more than enough. I'm not saying it was completely terrible. It wasn't a terrible match. It was all right, but it was just all right. And for a world title match, that's not good enough. That isn't what you're expecting out of a World Heavyweight Championship match. Exactly. You want things in your main event to be very good. You want them to be as good as they can be, and this isn't as good as it can be. However, a clean win for Rollins keeps me from being, as annoyed as I could be with this match. If there was some BS finish, oh man, this match would have been down the shitter for me. But that did definitely keep things up. as far as the overall quality goes, because he did win clean, and that's important. That is important. He should be able to beat clean. There's no question in my mind, and at least he did that. Although his pedigree is still not very good.
I want to go to a comment here from the Writer's Block in the chat saying Seth and Kane was perhaps the best match those two could have together. I'll agree with that. Yeah, that was probably the best match those two could have had together. But the problem with me was that is not any different than anything that I would see on a random episode of Raw. Like, that's what that match felt like to me. A main event to Monday Night Raw. And besides that, nothing special about this match. I guess we could give it to Seth Rollins for winning a match clean. Our WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Yes, this is what we have to take away from this match. Our WWE World Heavyweight Champion won a match clean. And this is actually 2 pay-per-views in a row. So congratulations to Seth Rollins. What else did I have to... I felt like I needed to say something else about this match. I totally forgot what it was. Oh, we have Kyler in the chat saying Spanish table gave no fuck, confirmed. Yeah. Sometimes you just get tired of the abuse and you're like, damn it, I am taking a stand. Enough is enough. I have had it. And yeah, that Spanish table was like, not today, bitch. Not today. So congratulations on that Spanish announce table.
I got to give the table credit. It definitely held its own in this one. That's fantastic. I mean, Kane's a big guy, so that table was like, no, I just can't handle it today. I got to survive at least a few more weeks here.
One thing that I would love to know from any of my or our Spanish-speaking viewers, if you ever have caught the Spanish feed for any WWE show, like, are they on to the running joke with the Spanish announce table, like the announcers? That's something that I've always wondered. Like, do they say, oh no, not again, here they go, somebody can answer.
I gotta wonder. I do gotta wonder about that. It would be pretty funny, honestly, if you are the Spanish announcers and you're saying our table's gonna get destroyed at some point. Just bear with us here. That would be pretty damn funny.
What if it's like South Park with Kenny? Like, god damn it, they broke the Spanish announce table, you bastards.
Oh man, that would be pretty damn funny.
Or maybe they don't call it the Spanish announce table, they just call it the announce table.
Their announce table, yeah, it's our announce table. Like, our table's gonna go at some point, but we're hoping we can get through this.
Okay, Kevin Owens versus Ryback. This was the next match at Hell in a Cell for the Intercontinental Championship. Kevin Owens walks away with his Intercontinental Championship after hitting Ryback with a pop-up powerbomb. This match was placed in a very interesting position on the card. I think that once this whole Divas thing, because I'm not calling it that other name, I'm fucking not calling it that anymore, but once this whole Divas stuff happened, the card has started to shift around a little bit. They don't really occupy that spot right before the main event anymore, and things have shifted, and we have the Intercontinental Championship occupying that spot here, the match directly before the main event. So yeah, I guess if you look at it in that context, yeah, Kevin Owens versus Ryback.
Yeah, honestly, I would have had a much easier time getting into this match if it wasn't placed on at this point in the card. I think it was harder to get into it because of that, although I don't think there was anything to really, complain about. I felt like the match was just so quick that it kind of just breezed right by me, Kevin Owens retaining the IC title is good, though. The best thing that really could have happened with this, he won with the pop-up powerbomb. I'm assuming that's the end of this feud. I don't really think there's any reason to continue it. He won, and that's that. I mean, it's nice, but I think that my biggest thing out of this, that it's going to be a disappointment, because I think this feud could have been so much more. They wasn't built up to the point it should have been, because honestly, their match at Night of Champions and their match here were both solid, and I think these two guys are good adversaries for one another, but they ultimately just didn't build this up enough to make it feel like there was anything big to look for here. I don't know.
I get what you're saying. It feels as if the message from creative that they were sending to the fans was, you don't have to take this one seriously.
Yeah, like, it's just the IC title. Like, if you don't watch it, you don't watch it. You know, like, you'll see what happened later anyway. It's like, it almost felt like that. And it's almost like they told me that you don't have to be, there's no reason to be emotionally invested in this. That's what I felt. I couldn't get emotionally invested into a feud with two guys that I actually am a fan of. I really like Kevin Owens, and I think Ryback's a good babyface. I think they're really good for one another. Ryback's a good face, Owens a great heel, but instead they spent more time building up Kevin Owens beating the crap out of the Lucha Dragons, or Ryback just, winning some matches and being on commentary, than they did the actual feud between the two guys. I never felt like that was what was established and focused on in the build-up between Night of Champions and Hell in a Cell, and I think that's where this whole thing ended up really lacking in comparison to what it could have been. Again, not a bad match, decent, but not one that's very memorable, and that's, I think, has a lot to do with the fact that the feud didn't have any real, steam to it going into this night. That does have an effect on the pay-per-view matches sometimes. It affects your ability to really get into the match and to anticipate or look forward to it. Not all the time. Sometimes main events don't even get built up. That's happened, as we know, many times, and the main event is still exciting, but that has more to do with the fact that you have names that are established, usually when there isn't a lot of build-up, like if The Rock's involved, or even Undertaker or Brock Lesnar. They're big names, so you're going to be invested in it because they are big names. They become big names because they were in feuds that were memorable in the past. This is where Kevin Owens and Ryback are right now. These guys are up and coming.
You're trying to create a name for them right now.
Exactly. To make those stars, you have to put them in a memorable spot. And if you're not doing that, there isn't going to be a whole lot of reason for people to stay tuned in. If you're between the world title and the main event, and you're in the stands, those casual viewers are going to think, yeah, go get a snack before the main event. That's what they're going to think, It's too bad because both guys are really talented.
We have Austin W. in the chat saying the build-up was each of them winning matches and not interacting with each other at all. And hell, that was the best of it, because Ryback, he didn't even win his match this past Monday on Raw. He got defeated by Seth Rollins, and you had a match with the WWE World Heavyweight Champion and number one contender to the Intercontinental Championship. Nobody gave a fuck at all. So that says a lot right there of what the people were thinking about these two feuds going into Hell in a Cell. But for Ryback and Kevin Owens, this match kind of ended abruptly for me. Just the way in which Kevin Owens hit the pop-up powerbomb, I was like, I know that's his finisher, but the match, it can't end here, can it? And turns out it actually did. They did just about enough in this match for you to actually call it a match. Nothing more, nothing less. There was nothing memorable about this at all, and it's really a shame. And I wonder, where are they going to go from here? Like, are they going to try to get another match out of this? I can't see that being a possibility because Ryback doesn't have an excuse this time around. Previously, he got poked in the eye or eye rake or whatever it was, and Kevin Owens had some nefarious means to win the match, but this time around, no excuses. You just got your ass beat, boy. So, I don't know. Where do we go from here? And if they do just end the feud here, that would still feel weird too, because this is the second feud in a row that has ended just like with Kevin Owens.
Exactly. It's like even the feud with Cesaro, like that last match that they had, what was it, on a Raw, when, Cesaro had a bit of an injury or whatever, and then Owens beat him, and that was the way that they finished that. Like, that was pretty much the end of it. And then he went into this IC title feud, and it was like, ooh, nice, a good opponent for Ryback. This is the best thing that's happened to him since he's been IC champion, because let's not forget how forgettable... Let's not forget... All right, let's forget how... I don't know. There's something forgettable about this whole thing, if you get my drift here.
Yes,
but
I get it. I get what you're coming from.
I was going with a couple of puns at the same time. I'm like, I don't know which way to go with this, but I think you get the point just by the stumbling. That's really a shame because, again, talented guys who are better than what they are getting. This is, like, you sit there and you have to say to yourself, man, these guys are just too good to be put in a spot like this. So the hope is that going forward, Kevin Owens' title run can be better, but I don't have any real faith in that until I see it. It's going to be one of those things where I need some good, consistent build-up, and I would like to have him, have a new guy to go against, only because of the fact that this feud just, I don't see anywhere for it to go from here. Like, what do you do with this now? Ryback lost fair and square, that's it. Like, at least, like you said, when he lost the title, he got his eye poked and then got rolled up and beat. So it's like, oh, well, damn, I want my rematch. Not only do I want my rematch, but you beat me in a heel way. Obviously, as the babyface, you're going to go out there and want another match with him. Okay, makes sense. But now you just got beat with a pop-up powerbomb. Like, that's that. See you next week. That's it.
Okay, and this was it for The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. The war to settle the score. I think WWE said this was a 13-year rivalry, and it all was going to end tonight here at Hell in a Cell. These two guys got into the ring. These two icons, these two entities, guys, that doesn't capture what this moment was in history. These two entities went face to face in the ring, and this was Hell in a Cell. All hell broke loose. I said after the match that it looked as if both of those guys had went through wood chippers. That's how much they beat the hell out of each other. They beat the hell out of each other. They beat the hell out of the ring, tore the ring up to the point where it was the wood that makes up the ring mat. It was exposed, and you had F5s on there, tombstones almost on there, but as far as WWE canon goes, tombstones on there. A lot went on in this match. We got some blood from both guys, and when the dust settled between the Brock Lesnar and the Undertaker, Brock Lesnar was your winner. And something else happened after the match we will get to later, but for Brock Lesnar and the Undertaker, I remember, Evan, I believe it was you for SummerSlam, you were saying if we get another match between Brock Lesnar and the Undertaker, and it's like the one that we got at SummerSlam, then you'd be all for the war to settle the score between those two. So you had your level of expectation set. Did they meet those expectations? Did they fall short? Like, what happened?
They met my expectations. I thought this was a great main event. This was a great match, top to bottom. Good storytelling throughout. Love the blood from both guys. You got to have it in a match like this. Like, it's almost necessary to have blood in this match. And
just to jump in really quickly, I am quite sure Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker went into business for themselves in this match. And
yes.
If that is the case, fucking loved it. I got stuff on my lap. I can't really stand up, but if I could, standing ovation.
Yes, and I think they did that as well. They weren't afraid to hit each other in the head as hard as they possibly could. There were multiple punches from... There was, after Taker had Lesnar in the Hell's Gate, it looked like Lesnar was punching him straight in the face. Like, there was no... Those were not wrestling punches. Those were punches.
Yes. Are you talking about when he was just like...
Yes, he was just hammering him. Just hammering him.
Crazy.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff. This was a great match with a special feel. I love that they ripped up the ring as well. That is fantastic. I love that Undertaker hit the tombstone. Lesnar kicked out. Great. It's just great. I mean, after how awful their WrestleMania 30 match was in terms of quality, and I understand that it was bad because of the concussion. I completely understand that, and that's just one of those intangibles that you can't do anything about. Like, Taker suffers a concussion. You can't help that from happening once it happens, and I give him a lot of props for finishing that match. I always did, and I feel like I didn't want anybody to take that the wrong way in the past when I said that their match at WrestleMania 30 wasn't good. The story of Lesnar winning is shocking and was a moment to never forget, but the match quality wasn't up to snuff, and it had a lot to do with, obviously, Undertaker, being incapacitated. But these last two matches were excellent. SummerSlam, the finish sucked. This one, the finish was fucking perfect.
Yes,
and honestly,
we got a complete match this time around.
Yes, we did. And honestly, I gotta admit though, since the SummerSlam match had the finish it did, this finish was that much more, well executed. If you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Like, this finish was as good as it was because of the fact that their SummerSlam match had that type of finish. So even though at the time I hated that finish, I have to look back on it now and I am more fond of the finish now because of the way the story ended up being told. But I'm still going to say that I'm not retracting my opinion from SummerSlam. I still didn't like the way the match finished. But for the story's purpose, the finish of this match here at Hell in a Cell did that justice. So ultimately, things did go the way they were supposed to go, and I'm very happy about that. Not just because Lesnar won, but because we had a culminating factor within this Hell in a Cell match. It had a special feel. It wasn't a wrestling match. It was a fight. It was a fight, and I love that about these two guys. They just go at each other, bleeding all over the place, and hitting each other as hard as they possibly could, and just going all out. And I love that it took 3 F5s again for Lesnar to beat Undertaker. I thought that was a key number because that's exactly the amount of F5s that it took him to beat him back at WrestleMania 30. So I like that they stuck with the consistency. I like that Undertaker hit the tombstone straight on the exposed part of the ring, like I said before. Just an absolutely great match with a great story, and it just had such a special feel. It had me invested from beginning to end, and that is something that only matches like this can really do. You have to have that special type of feel, and that's exactly what this match had, and I gotta applaud both guys. Great performance.
Yes. This definitely was a Clash of the Titans type moment, and I love those moments in WWE where you have two seemingly unstoppable forces and they just go head to head, and one of them has to walk away the victor. And this time around it was Brock Lesnar. But man, this match was so friggin' brutal. I saw a few people in the chat room talking about how it made them uncomfortable at sometimes just based off of the way that they were beating the hell out of each other. But everything, like the complete picture of this match, I loved it. The psychology, the storytelling in the ring, the action, just the sense of urgency where it was like, this is 13 years of story, and this isn't just one match. This is about the match that we had previously, and the way that I was screwed over, and the way that you ended my streak, and just all of that. I could feel all of that story unfolding from step to step in the way that this match was executed, and that's wonderful. I talk about this all the time with NXT, where I feel as if they do a great job of completing a story to the point where you feel as if the time that you've invested in watching it from this stage to that stage to that stage, that you feel as if your time has been rewarded with the final product. And I feel as if WWE, I can't even say once in a blue moon, sometimes they do it, and I'm just glad to know that at Hell in a Cell, that was their one time to actually do it. There's not enough great things that I could say about this match between Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker. Just a very wonderful contest. But that's no thanks to Michael Cole, who was fucking terrible on commentary. Absolutely horrid, because here's the thing. You are a narrator of the story. You live within the world of WWE. You live within the universe. It's okay for me to sit here as a fan knowing that this is all for entertainment purposes, knowing that they're not getting into the ring and actually trying to murder each other. It's okay for me to say that match was awesome. But if you have two guys within the WWE universe, within the kayfabe-ness that is WWE, going in there, busting each other's heads open, having your opponent to the point where he's bleeding profusely, and Michael Cole is sitting there talking about how incredible and how awesome the match was. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, why are you not there selling the brutality of the match? Like, why are you not there attempting to enhance the story, talking about how these guys are so crazed with the thought of winning that they're willing to sacrifice the small bit of humanity that they have and brutalize another human being just for the slightest shot at victory? Why is that not the narrative that you're selling in the match? Why the fuck do I sit here as a fan, and why do I have to sell that narrative when you get paid to do that? That really confused me. And see, this is why I love JR. Because there's no way in hell JR would have been sitting there talking about how awesome the match was. He would have been talking about how ugly it was, how brutal it was, how violent it was. He would have been talking about the serious nature of the match. And that is what you need to do to sell the effects of what's going on. Because otherwise, hell, it's like the whole fucking company is full of sadists. Like, you're sitting there and like, oh shit, these guys are tearing each other apart. This is amazing. I love it. Beat them some more. Maybe it's just me. Maybe people are like, so what? You know, he can say the match is awesome, but I genuinely had a problem with that. It pissed me off to no end. I'm on Twitter like, shut the fuck up. Stop. Please just stop talking. I don't want to hear you anymore. But that was my little rant. I'm done now.
Well put. I think that was pretty much exactly what most who were really paying attention to Michael Cole would have thought. And to be honest, that's why Michael Cole usually gets the award for Worst Commentator of the Year, because flat out he is. I mean, there's some things about him that are positive, and he does a decent job of at least having an excitement factor to the big matches and things like that. But Jim Ross was always so good at giving you the real picture here. He was good at giving you what the story. He was part of the story. He actually enhanced the story.
Yes, he's a legit narrator. That's what a fucking commentator is supposed to be.
Especially in pro wrestling, because a commentator in, like, you know, pro football or pro baseball is calling what's going on, calling the action. And these guys are calling the action too, but the action isn't, you know, genuine action that's just going on. This is action that is move to move. This is, oh, that move's supposed to hurt here. Oh, that move's supposed to hurt there. And even though, yes, I did comment on the fact that I don't like Charlotte's finishing move or whatever, you have to sell that finishing move as being painful on commentary. You have to say, oh, the pain in her, you know, in her legs has got to be, you know, shooting through the roof right now, you know, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter what the move is. And I'm not saying Michael Cole never does that, because he definitely does that to an extent, but Jim Ross always was able to make it feel like it was real. Like, what you were watching was not scripted, was not a story, and I can only imagine the way that he would have called this main event. In fact, there is no one else who should call Undertaker matches besides Jim Ross. And I love that even for the last couple of years Jim Ross was with the company, they brought him back even just for one match a year, and it was for Undertaker's WrestleMania match. And it made that damn match a million times better as a result, because he was able to tell you every second of that story, and he would have done that here with the brutality and the blood that was thrown in there, and the weapons, and, you know, the relentless beat down from both guys beating the hell out of each other. And it just would have been a lot better with a guy who actually knows how to narrate a story, rather than a guy who just wants to talk about, well, yeah, all right, yeah, you know, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't add to it. It more or less just echoes what the fans are thinking. And I'm not saying it's bad to have, like, a voice of a fan, but that's not what a commentator is supposed to be. A commentator isn't supposed to be a fan who's just, you can hear. You know, the commentator is supposed to be part of that story, and you as the fan are supposed to be the only one who's saying that.
Hell, if you want to hear the fan, come to PWF Empire Live.
Yeah, that's what...
PWFempire.com. Watch us.
Yeah.
Michael Cole.
And someone in the chat saying, does WWE hand out that award? I'm talking more about the... I'm talking about the... what is it? There's that...
Wrestling Observer?
Yeah, Wrestling Observer Awards every year. They always hand out the worst commentator of the year, and it's always Michael Cole every single year. If WWE...
name the award after him.
It might as well. I think he's gotten it like 7 or 8 years in a row. So...
He pissed me off.
so I mean, I think it's pretty obvious here. It would be kind of funny if WWE personally handed out that award, though. I can't lie. Worst commentator. We can't give it to Michael again this year. It's got to be somebody else. Sorry, Michael.
And you know what's so funny about that? I'm thinking back to those days when the primetime players were on commentary, and this motherfucker had the nerve to, like, trash them for their commentary. If you don't... You know what? Let's move on. Yeah, we had an extended little segment after this match where the Undertaker, he was just struggling to do his, sit up taunt, then struggling to get to his feet, and the crowd is going wild for The Undertaker. Thank you, Taker. Giving him the respect that he truly deserves for the legend that he is, the icon in the wrestling industry. And when he finally gets to his feet, we get the little camera cut, lights shut off. All of a sudden, we see Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, Eric Rowan, and Luke Harper. They all come out to the ring, and they beat the hell out of The Undertaker and then carry him away as if he was some, like, sacrifice or something like that. So, we got a lot of weeks to talk about this and whatever is going to develop from this point. But do you have any initial thoughts on what happened with the Wyatt family and The Undertaker following his match at Hell in a Cell?
I believe this will probably lead to something Survivor Series related. Mm-hmm. That's the thought I've got, and I'm excited about that idea. I like it. Undertaker wrestling, 4 or 5 times this year? I got no complaints with that. I love Undertaker, and to have him wrestle multiple times in the same year is fine with me. So we're used to just seeing him at WrestleMania, and that's that. So it'd be good to have him at Survivor Series. I like this because this is the kind of cliffhanger type of ending that it didn't fuck up the finish of the main event.
Yes.
Yes. It was separate from the match. The match ended, the cell came up, Lesnar was gone, had his moment, was gone, and Undertaker was struggling to get to his feet, the crowd was cheering, and then it happened. Like, you almost thought that the credits were about to roll, so to speak, or that they were going to put the logo in the corner and that was going to be the end of the night. But instead, you get something else. It was completely separate from the main event. There wasn't any interference. There wasn't any bullshit going on. That is how you have a cliffhanger type of ending to your pay-per-view and make me say, I'd like to see what happens on Raw tomorrow night. That's a whole hell of a lot better than what you usually get, which is just a bunch of BS running in, all this crap that just makes you roll your eyes and say, this is why Raw bores me, this is why the product makes me annoyed with everything, and, all that. So this was a great way to finish off Hell in a Cell, and honestly, this was a pay-per-view that had some pretty damn good moments in it, and was better than I think we were really talking about it on Monday. Yeah. So again, a good show with some build-up that may have lacked in a lot of ways, and did, don't get me wrong, but had some good moments on it. More good moments on it than I think you or I probably would have expected.
Yeah, the build-up definitely was a drizzling shits, but they showed up and they showed out tonight. I don't remember too much, BS from this show. I mean, the Divas match was what it was. Kevin Owens, Ryback, kind of forgettable. Other than that, this was a pretty nice card, if I do say so myself. So I'm going to give WWE a thumbs up on this show. I enjoyed Hell in a Cell, and I think the 2 matches that really needed to deliver, the 2 Hell in a Cell matches, just so happened my 2 favorite matches of the night. And these 2 guys here, Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, walking away the victors, walking away with some great performances, and their opponents walked away with some great performances as well. So all in all, I'm going to have to rate this one a success for WWE, and I don't feel pissed off that I spent my time watching. So
no, not at all. It's amazing that we're at a point in time, though, where the world title match is like one of the lowlights, and Undertaker and Brock Lesnar inside the Hell in a Cell is your highlight. I got no problems with that overall. Yeah. But I have to say, it is a bit of a shame that the World Championship is in such a low position. If it was in a spot where at least it was like, oh, well, the match was all right. It may not have been great. I mean, again, it was all right. But I just didn't care. The match was getting started, and I'm like, yeah, well, I don't care. So, and it's too bad. I want the world title to be a little more important. Because honestly, when I think of the memorable moments from this show, I think of the 2 Hell in a Cell matches. And I'd put the tag titles over the world title match too. I really would. And the finish to the pay-per-view, all those moments came before the world title. And I'm not saying the match was bad completely. It just was where you thought it would be. An all-right match that was in the middle of the card. So this was a successful show. I'd say more so than not. I definitely would say the same. And although there was some not so great moments in there, still had some good ones, and more good ones than we would have expected. So for me, I have to be I have to be honest and say that it's good. And also, although I did just say what I said about the world title match, I have to say again, reiterate that Seth Rollins winning Queen is a great thing. It really is a great thing to have going forward here for him. So I guess we'll see what this whole thing brings going forward. But the way it ended was definitely going to get me into Raw the next night. I will say I'm not like, oh my god, I can't wait for Raw, but I'm saying, well, I'm interested in what will go on with this story. I haven't been like, oh my god, I can't wait for Raw in a long fucking time, guys.
It's been a while. Yeah.
It's been several years since I could say I was that excited for Raw in any way, shape, or form. But but I am interested in the story. Is my point. So a successful show.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of PWF Empire Live. We'll be back here, I guess, this week on Wednesday, our regular time and day, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, PWFempire.com. We got some great stuff planned for that show. You will see that then. But if you have not checked out our PWF Empire Anarchy Let the Games Begin, that competition special with the guys from PWF Empire Live versus the guys from the Raw Post Show, go ahead and check that out. It was a great show, if I do say so myself, and the reviews are coming in, and with a lot of the folks who have watched the show, they enjoyed it. And I mean, what more could you ask for? It's a fucking entertaining show. A lot of wrestling fans just talking about wrestling, and this one has a little bit of an interesting twist because we're playing Family Feud, and there are a lot of questions there. Greatest superstar of all time, greatest match of all time, what wrestler would you hate to meet in a dark alley? A lot of fun stuff to consume. So hopefully if you guys haven't had the opportunity to check that out, set aside about 45 minutes to do so. You're going to be entertained from start to finish. I guarantee it. Or your money back. Yeah, and we'll definitely work on that. So, yeah. Until our next show, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you later. Peace out.